Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight on Sword and Sandal Cinema, we'll explore all things Lou Ferrigno with Brian Walker of Brian's Drive-In Theater. Greetings, Brian. How are you?
I'm well tonight, Hercules. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. I watched Lou Ferrigno's first Hercules movie and found things I wasn't expecting to find in it. And I've also been watching Herculoids, which has nothing to do with Hercules, but they're muscular and they're heroic and they're protectors and they're in outer space. So I guess all that contributed to uh, the name of the cartoon. But I'm having a good time with that as well. How about you?
Actually, I rewatched Lou Ferrigno's Hercules and The Adventures of Hercules last night, as
Awesome.
a matter of fact. The first movie seems to have a bigger budget, or it's a bit better of a film than the second movie, but they're both entertaining. Lots of fun to watch. Nothing boring about either one of them.
Yeah, no, I like the movie the first time and all subsequent times I've seen both of the films. I like the first one a little bit better.
Yeah. Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff in there. I never really paid attention to their explanations of mythology because they were so deviated from the Greek mythology. But
Hmm.
they snuck a lot of stuff in there, so they did their homework. And then I paid attention to the names of people and places, and it's like, wow, they even had Tyre in there and tied it to Gibraltar, and that's like, wow, that's a really obscure piece of Hercules lore, and they had it in that movie and they tried to integrate the planetary mythology and it was really ambitious in the amount of information that they snuck in there.
Yeah, as I was watching the first Lou Ferrigno Hercules movie last night, I kept thinking, well, gosh, I'll bet Hercules likes how it's framed, and that the film does adhere pretty well, to Greek mythology. And so I thought that would be probably the thing that you would appreciate the most about it.
Yeah, and it starts off in the nothingness before chaos. So that's pretty good. If you're going to start at the beginning, start at the very beginning. And they changed the story a little bit, but they stuck to
Mhm.
the meat and bones of it. The more important parts just were creative with how they tweaked it. There were some glaring gaps in logic, like for instance, uh,
Well,
his parents on Earth named him Hercules, uh, but then the people who found him in the basket also named him Hercules.
Hercules.
The gods referred to him as Hercules. So,
um, the, when it comes to the film itself, originally it was supposed to be more along the lines of a Conan film, in that it was supposed to be more violent, more sexually charged. It was supposed to have a probably an R rating, and Lou Ferrigno didn't want to appear in anything like that. He wanted more of a family-friendly movie, like the Sword and Sandal movies from the early 1960s.
yeah, I
And
heard that as well.
well, and largely that's what you get if you listen to the narration. The whole thing is dubbed, um,
Yes.
and it was shot in Rome, like the films from 20 to 25 years before it was released in 1983. And if you listen really closely to the main narrator, that person's voice is on probably half of the soundtracks of Sword and Sandal movies from the 60s. It is the same voice. If you listen to it, you can tell. This
Hmm.
was somebody who used to dub Hercules films from the 60s. And so that for me, that made it kind of nostalgic. I don't think that was intentional, on the part of the producers. Um, and it was done by the Canon Group, and they did a lot of lower budgeted films in the 70s and 80s. And overall, it looks pretty good. Where the thing that really lets it down for me are the special effects. and the director complained bitterly about not having enough money to make the effects look better. The first effect where the boat where baby Hercules is in goes over the waterfall, that's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Now, I like a lot of the shots of as you watch the beginning of it, you're thinking, "God, is this a science fiction movie?" Because it does borrow a lot of science fiction tropes in terms of just the way it looks.
And fantasy, as you pointed out too. Very sword and sorcery feel to it.
Yeah, and if you watch, I've been getting ready to watch the new Superman film. I intended to watch it on Friday when it hit HBO Max, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I'm looking forward to watching it. I've seen all the other Superman movies. I see the old TV show with George Reeves every weekend. I think it's on FET. No, it's on Heroes and Icons, H&I. So as I was watching it, as I was watching the Ferrigno Hercules movie, I just kept drawing parallels between it and every Superman movie that I have seen. It is just so similar. But that's where the whole Superman trope comes from.
Yeah, Superman 2 is sun god. Uh,
Mhm.
in modern times, he does heroic things, and the planet Krypton in Greek means hidden, which is
Yes.
where the cult comes from too. And lots of symbolism. We saw the Superman movie finally, and like
Oh. Oh, did you? Good.
it was not what I expected, but I found it enjoyable.
I've heard that from several other people. I had fully intended to go to the drive-in this summer and see it, and I just didn't make it while it was out. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to catch it on Max. But fortunately, we already have Max, so it doesn't cost anything additional to watch it.
We had Max. We saw it on Max.
Oh, you did watch it on Max. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Fantastic Four came out. I heard it's streaming now.
Oh, really?
I don't know if there's an extra fee or not, but next time we go to Disney, we'll check it out.
Yeah, I have. Um, the recent Fury, aside, we dropped Disney Plus and Hulu several months ago, and for the sole reason that we just weren't watching them. So we got rid of all of that stuff. We watch Max more than anything else anymore, I would say.
We watch Max, and the reason we kept Disney is I'm a big fan of the Marvel films, and
Hmm. Yeah.
so they're on there. So this way, I get a chance to watch them whenever I want.
Hmm.
I also have just about I'm only missing like a handful on DVD or Blu-ray, but still, it's easier to call them up, conjure them on your television screen through the cable than look for the DVD and set it up. And
Actually, as of late, I've been hitting the DVD player pretty hard. Well, I watched both of the Hercules movies that Lou Ferrigno did on DVD,
I
and
watched it on YouTube while I was exercising and writing.
oh, really? I just pulled out the DVDs because I was too lazy to try to get into YouTube, and I didn't want to have to see the commercials. I mean, I don't pay for YouTube, and
Yeah,
I think if you want it commercial free, what's it like $15 a month or something like that?
something like that.
Which would, to tell you the truth, it would be worth it. The commercials are so obnoxious, and they get in the way of the content.
They're
Um,
repetitious too. The same commercial over and over and over and over and over and over again. Tubi does that too. Tubi will show you the same commercial a million times.
mhm. Well, and especially like during election years, the next time we come to this midterm election, which is next year, I'm definitely paying the $15 a month. I am not watching all those political ads by these sleazy politicians. I'm just not doing it. Anyway,
Oh,
um,
I don't blame you.
no, I'm just not. Another thing that I liked about the first Hercules film that Lou Ferrigno did was the cast. The cast is pretty impressive, actually. You've got Brad Harris, another Sword and Sandal star in it. I wish he was in it a little more.
It
But
was Minos, right?
pardon me.
He was Minos, King
Yeah.
Minos.
Mhm. And obviously Sybil Danning, who's got a pretty juicy role as the evil queen.
Sybil Danning, when I had I wish more of the shows survived, but I had interviewed Sybil Danning a few years ago. She
Mhm.
really surprised. She's a brilliant woman.
How so?
I just remember her answers were very well thought out and deep, and she was very
Mhm.
witty and she was very charming. And it was nothing like what I expected from Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS. Uh,
See, that I like. I follow her on Facebook.
uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, she's on Facebook.
yeah, but and oddly enough, until yesterday, I realized that she's kind of fallen out of my algorithm,
Hmm.
and I'm not really sure why. Because I went back, and for some reason, I've got two. I'm friends with two different Sybil Danning accounts on Facebook, and neither one of them appeared to have had any recent posts. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah,
She looks she looks good for her age. I will
yeah,
say that.
she sound like I said, she sounds great. And Lou Ferrigno I'd met several times when I had my television show in New York. He did a lot of conventions, and we would occasionally cover the conventions. And he was impressive. What do you call it? He like Arnold, his musculature is not as pronounced as it was when he was younger. But Lou Ferrigno, even at more advanced stages, looked like he could take off a shirt and play the Hulk or play Hercules like right on the spot without any preparation.
He looks really good for his age. He'll be 74, I think, in about 5 or 6 weeks
Wow.
in November. And I watched a couple of recent interviews with him within the last couple of years, and he does not look like he's in his 70s at all.
No.
He could be in his 50s. I mean, he looks really good for his age. Um, and he also watches everything he puts in his mouth, which I should do, and I don't. Um, he's very dedicated, and he works out regularly still, and he's a big guy too. If
Huge.
you see if you see a pic, he's well proportioned. So if you see a picture of him and it's just him, he looks. I mean, he's very muscular, but he doesn't look inordinately tall. But if you see him beside other bodybuilders like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he towers over Arnold.
Yes.
He's a big guy. I, I see. I see why he would have been hired to do things like the Incredible Hulk and the Hercules movies, because he's just he is that character. He is just a big guy. Um, I mean, just sort of astoundingly so. Uh,
Back when I was in my early 30s, I used to work out in gyms in like the Brooklyn Queens border.
okay.
There were people there that worked out with Schwarzenegger when he first came over
Mm.
to this country, and also Lou Ferrigno when he came over to this country. So
Lou Ferrigno's from Brooklyn.
from Brooklyn, I'm sorry. But they both exercised at this gym that I was exercising at. And there were so many different stories, endless stories about them. So they're both characters and quite memorable.
They're two very different types, of people. They both had similar you know career trajectories, from bodybuilding into acting. Obviously, Arnold, was in bigger pictures
Hmm.
than Lou Ferrigno was, but Lou Ferrigno also did a lot of TV and such that Arnold didn't do. And he was on the Incredible Hulk for I think 5 seasons, and that when the Incredible Hulk came on, I think I was, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12, something like that. And I watched it all the way through until it left the air in 1982. I think I saw all 5 seasons. I really liked the show, and I like Bill Bixby a lot. He's great. A fun actor who I think maybe was better than some of the roles he was given, like on My Favorite Martian and stuff like that. But The Incredible Hulk, I think, was a pretty well done show. And I like the premise for the show too, is that he keeps running from town to town
Uh,
because he was accused of a crime he didn't commit.
and they seem to have wanted to build a universe because he made like comeback one shots with Daredevil, with Thor, and I forget who else he had. And they made a Doctor Strange movie around the same time. Not what
Yeah,
happened, but it seemed like they were trying to build the MCU from back then, or the
true. And I could see how that could have played out. I think The Incredible Hulk was on CBS, and I can see how that would have worked.
Spider-Man was on at the time also, I believe.
Hmm. That didn't last very long, though, did it?
I don't remember. Maybe 2 3 seasons.
Oh, I didn't think it lasted that long.
No,
Uh,
it might not have. My memory's not as good.
I thought it cratered kind of quickly. um,
Yeah,
there have been attempts at Captain America as
yes.
well. Reb Brown did a couple of late 70s TV movies that the first one really smelled like a pilot too. It probably was, for a proposed TV series, but it just didn't make it. It didn't go to series. Partly because those would be kind of expensive to shoot, and the Incredible Hulk was an hour long show, and I think it was kind of pricey as well. Hour long shows tend to be pretty expensive, and when you're relying really heavily on guest stars, that gets pretty complicated.
Yeah, my brain is not all here today. Like again, I got Ferrigno's Brooklyn confused with another country, so that shows you.
Well, it depends on the part of Brooklyn, I suppose. Um, he had some. I think he had a couple of implants put in. I believe couple of years ago, and it's drastically improved his hearing. Those cochlear implants.
Yes. Yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't really follow up by looking it up or anything.
Yeah, he's been deaf. Well, not deaf, but I think he only had about 20% hearing for most of his life. When he was an infant, he had a series of ear infections which left him with a lot of scarring, and he had very limited ability to hear. But even with that, I mean, he's had a really good career. He's done a lot of TV. Now, in the Hercules films, I think it's kind of a shame that he's dubbed, but everybody in it's dubbed. So
Right.
it's not just him. Uh, and at first, well, when I was doing some research for it, I read somewhere, I can't remember who said this, that he was dubbed because of his speech patterns. And I thought, no, everybody in this movie is dubbed. This didn't have anything to do with Lou Ferrigno at all.
Well, his
Uh,
speech
and
had a weird effect on them.
but and you nearly all of those Sword and Sandal movies, particularly the ones made in Rome, um, were dubbed. They were dubbed into countless other languages, as well. So it wasn't just into English. I will say this though: the Lou Ferrigno Hercules film, most people in it appear to be speaking English. At least if you compare the words that you're hearing with
Mouth movements.
yeah. So maybe not entirely, but I think most of the actors were speaking English. And some of the actors, if you look at the cast list, like John Garco, Rosanna Podesta, there are a lot of people who were in like countless Italian films from the 50s, 60s, and 70s who appear in the Ferrigno Hercules from 1983. And that's kind of that. I think that lends some authenticity as well. Like I said, initially they wanted to do a racier version of Hercules, but Lou Ferrigno wanted to keep it family friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
believe Sybil Danning shared some stories about that too. He would get very upset at the cut of the blouses and whether any nipples were showing or hinted at through their clothing, and that he was very adamant about that because he wanted to be the type of Hercules that he admired when he was a young boy, that inspired him and motivated him. So he
Mhm.
wanted to be that rather than, to be in like a sword and sorcery type of film.
Yeah, I can kind of understand why he would see it that way. And quite honestly, after watching it last night and then reading about the history of the film's production from from start to finish, I'm kind of glad that he stepped in and did that because I see this more as an homage to the peplums from the 50s and 60s, more so than anything else. And if it had been, racier and updated, I'm not sure that I would have appreciated it that much. I'm kind of glad that that's the way it worked out.
Well, I enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it if it was racier. I would have enjoyed it if it was milder. I would have enjoyed it because
I
it's
don't think it can be a whole lot milder, other than a couple of Sybil Danning's, costumes. Well, and then I mean, there's Lou's not wearing a whole lot either, so I guess I
not,
should say
no.
that. But it really, for me, it did make me nostalgic for some of the old Steve Reeves films, or perhaps even Gordon Scott, or Reg Park. So so that I kind of liked that. I kind of appreciated it.
What did you think of the ending? I found the ending perplexing.
Yeah. It just sort of ends.
Out of nowhere, and it's like, are you? I forget their names that they're using. Are you the the princess with the veil? Are you the sorceress? Are you Sybil Danning? I'm all three and neither, or all three of them are. I don't know. So I forget the exact words, but it's like, what? That was not hinted anywhere throughout the entire movie. These people all existed independently in different places. Well, yeah, and the actions kept switching back and forth. So how could they have been the same person? And how would he
Well,
accept that answer?
this movie was shot back to back with the Seven Magnificent Gladiators, with
Oh,
largely the same cast. Um, and I wonder if that didn't become a problem for them, because they were trying to shoot two movies at once.
so why
You
not
know,
within the other film? They could have.
maybe they just inserted the wrong scene. But you're right; the end of it doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense. It would have made more sense if it had been set up as a sequel, but that ending didn't quite read sequel to me. But they did make a second Adventures of Hercules film.
My least favorite thing was him turning into King Kong. Uh,
Oh yes. Mhm.
yeah,
I could see
it was
that.
like, what?
Well, and the film was done on a limited budget. The budget number I saw was about 200. No, I'm sorry, $2.5 million. And I don't know if it was quite that much, quite honestly. $2.5 million in 1982 when it was produced. That's not so bad. Um, but the special effects just don't read millions. They just don't. Some of them are pretty bad. Now, some of the process shots that they've got, where you'll have like live action and then a slide or something like that. The one piece of it always looks so grainy, and it just sort of draws attention to itself. And the color in those shots is a little blown out as well. And then they'll cut back to a normal scene, and suddenly it's all vivid, bright, and crisp again. So those are some production issues that I wish weren't there.
I had a difficult time with Daedalus and Minos discussing science also, and i- their interaction kind of cast doubt on the introduction to the gods. because the gods were like these planetary celestial spirits, and they all worked together to create a being of light who came down to Earth to be a champion to um, and incarnated as Hercules, and everybody knew it was Hercules. But then why was Hera plotting with Minos, who wanted to destroy the gods and introduce science? That didn't make a lot of sense either.
Well, they had to kind of scrap the original script, and in doing so, I think they were just grabbing bits and pieces of mythology here and there. But still, it comes off way more coherent, I think, than it might have.
Hmm.
Considering that it was sort of rewritten on the fly.
And I haven't seen the second movie. Well, I've seen the second movie countless times, but I haven't seen it recently. So I'm looking forward to your thoughts on it.
It's not quite as engaging. It doesn't have. I don't think they. I don't really know how much they spent on the second movie, but it just doesn't seem like they had quite that much money. The first movie, despite some of the reviews, did okay. It was successful. It made money at the box office. It wasn't a blockbuster or anything like that, but it was certainly successful enough to do a second film. But the second film also suffers from some pretty bad special effects, and it just didn't have the cast. You when you're watching the first one, the cast is pretty good. Although I will say Zeus does not his false beard and the wig that they've got on him. He looks like he's about 38 years old, but they're trying to make him look a lot older.
Oh, God.
In the second one, they got somebody who was a little more age appropriate, I thought, and I thought it looked better. But overall, I think the people in the first one were more fun to watch. Because the first one had more seasoned actors in it, quite honestly. And even though it's dubbed, you can still tell who can act and who can't. Um,
The second one was very much more like a Dungeons and Dragons game. We had to defeat monsters,
kind of.
and they
Mhm.
became thunderbolts, and then you had to gather a certain number of thunderbolts, and then things would happen. And
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. And I don't think it's quite as engaging as the first one, but it's still fun to watch.
why do you think they didn't make any more of them? Because I'm sure Ferrigno would have loved to make more of them.
Well, they didn't make any more of them because they didn't make enough money to make more of them.
Makes sense.
And the Canon Group did a lot of horror films, did exploitation horror, and doing the Hercules film was kind of risky for them because they didn't have a whole lot of money for production budgets and such. And taking a chance on a sword and sandal film, which had gone out of popularity 20 years before, was probably a risk for them. However, they picked up Lou Ferrigno coming right off of The Incredible Hulk, and I think his name certainly had star power and got the film produced. But like I said, Cannon did a lot of horror films, and horror films that genre seems to lend itself to lower budgets. I think it makes the filmmakers a little more resourceful when it comes to special effects and such. And horror films almost always make money. If you don't spend a whole lot on it, you can always make money with a horror film.
One of the things I found fascinating about the first movie is that the gods were on the moon. And you know that one of my favorite Hercules movies is Hercules versus the Moon Men or against the Moon Men or and the Moon Men. Uh, and I was thinking there is an untold story waiting to be told.
Yeah, usually when you see the gods in one of these films, they're up in the clouds somewhere, and having them out in space did lend a sort of a sci-fi element to it. And some of those shots now. I will say this about special effects: some of the moon shots or space shots actually look okay on screen. They're photographed pretty well.
and he threw the bear into outer space, and he threw the telephone.
Oh yeah, that, that didn't look so hot. The worst for me, the worst special effect was the boat going over the waterfall. That's I started laughing when I saw.
The least necessary one was he had to take a the chariot to go, like, Greece is a tiny little country. So to go from like one area to the other area, which wasn't that far away, relatively speaking, he twirled around the rock and threw it into outer space. So they went this short distance by flying into outer space.
But that was at least fun. I mean, I liked the idea behind the special effect.
Um,
Uh, in and of itself, it looked a little cheesy, but I like the idea of it though. That part of it was fun. And Lou looks fantastic. I mean, he is in peak physical form.
mhm.
I mean, he's like at 0% body fat, and he is just beefed up, beyond all means. He really, much kind of like Steve Reeves, he really looks like Hercules in this. I mean, he's
Yeah.
just, just so physically imposing.
Yeah, even more imposing than Reg Park, who was before him the most massive Hercules.
This is true. I would go along with that because Reg Park was really, really built out. Some of the Hercules actors were thinner.
Yes.
I mean, none of them. I mean, they were all in great shape, but some of them were a little more slight of build than the others. But you're right, Reg Park and Lou Ferrigno are the big guys.
And some of them were sucking in their gut. Uh,
Gordon Scott did that a lot, yeah. But I mean, you don't want well, except for oh golly, the name of the Jason and the Argonauts, where you got sort of middle-aged Hercules, which I'm fine with, but in the old movies, you got these perfect male specimens,
right.
typically. And yeah, you don't want them. You don't want their guts to hang out or anything. So yeah, they did suck it in for the ages. Um, but that it works for me.
It works for me too. Nigel Green, even though he didn't look like a bodybuilder, he proved that with the right attitude, you could be Hercules, because he didn't look like any of these guys, but he had the attitude. So there was no question in anybody's mind that he was the son of Zeus. And that's something to pull off. It's like with Sergio Chiani, his enthusiasm for everything. You see, he really
Mhm.
look the parts. And then Reg Park with this devil may care. I certainly don't, because I'm Achilles attitude.
I love his attitude in his Hercules films too. It's just like, yeah, here I am.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep now. Yeah.
But you're right. He does have the attitude, and he was an actor, so and you can always tell when when some of the professionals are you have enough talent to be able to just pull off something like that without having the physicality to be able to do so. I will say this though: the first time I saw Jason and the Argonauts, I was like, "He's Hercules." I I had seen a lot of Peplum films before I saw Jason and the Argonauts, and I was just a little shocked. It was like, "Ooh, middle-aged Hercules." This is different.
Yeah, there aren't that many myths of old man Hercules. There's a lot of plates and pottery of Hercules fighting old age, and he's called Hieros in Greek, which is like old man. And
Mhm.
in some of the pottery, it looks like Hercules is beating him up, pretty badly if they're fighting. And then others are kind of like hanging out and talking like friends. So I've always thought, now that I'm in my late 60s, that it's coming to terms with old age. In the beginning, it's something you fight, you exercise, you take vitamins, you modify your diet, you do all sorts of things, to try to come to terms with it. But then at a certain point, you just accept it. It's like, I'm getting older. Everybody gets older. Everybody has gotten older since the dawn of time. So it's nothing personal against me. And then you come to grips with it, and you still try to take care of yourself, but it's inevitability that no human can escape. So that's the reality of it, and you accept it.
Fighting it is a lot of effort.
Yes.
It really is. Now, I think that I think you should try to fight it as long as you can, because ultimately I think that's better for you. But there does come a point where you just think, you know, I'm done. At least I've gotten there, from time to time.
Yeah, I've gotten there from time to time too. But I still like today I exercised 3 times because of the Parkinson's. You have to exercise things to keep your mind busy. So I try to keep my mind very busy and my body very exercised. And again, some days it's like I'm just going to enjoy breathing. I don't really need to do anything today.
But you have to keep moving to keep your quality of life.
Right.
Uh, and I think that's where it goes, into your. I just turned 60 last month, um, and I've been kind of in this mode for a while. I exercise so I have range of movement, so that I can keep getting around. I try to get my steps in every day because if you lose your legs, that's it.
Yeah,
What
pretty.
happens to you? Um, I try to keep it up as much as possible. I don't know that I'm trying to outrun old age so much now. I gave up on my face. I've just let it. I mean, I to tell you the truth, I did rub hyaluronic acid all over it before we started the podcast.
But you look youthful. You don't look your age, certainly.
That's because of the hyaluronic acid. No, I do put a lot of crap on my face. I will admit that. I moisturize. I do. I'm out in the sun way more than I probably should be, and that's bad. Like during the summer months, I am never inside. I'm outside all the time, and
You know,
even
it has erase wrinkles and dark circles under your eyes button.
do I have one?
Zoom has one.
Zoom. Oh,
Different
really? Oh, I didn't. I
showing
need to check out Zoom.
showed me that button, and then by fooling around with it, you could make your face look more youthful and blemish free, and you could pretty much edit all that out. I didn't do it, but I could if I want to, I guess.
I'm going to have to download the desktop client again because I don't have any of that right now. I mean, this is what I look like. So um, I do, like I said, I do take care of my skin, but then again, I am out in the sun too much, um, and we have a convertible, so I'm in that thing all the time in the summer. I've been driving it to work even this fall
Oh, very cool. What do
with
you
the
do?
top down. It's 15 or 20 minutes the time it takes me to get to the class. It kind of refreshes your tan a little bit, so you look nice and healthy when you go into class.
Do you put the cover on it so it doesn't get like if drizzles or something?
Oh, I park in one of the municipal
Oh,
parking garages, so and I put the top up when I leave the car, anyway. But if it is raining, I don't drive it. I take my car instead, which is an SUV.
very cool. Do you know
And
if
it's
he's doing anything else? Like if
pardon me.
Ferrigno did some Conan the Adventure episodes, he's been in a bunch of Marvel movies.
He
Uh,
did a movie that's a lot of fun called Cage. I don't know if you have seen that with Reb Brown,
no, I haven't seen that.
and they're cage fighter. He and Lou Ferrigno and Reb Brown are brothers, and they're cage fighters. I haven't seen it for a long time, but they're fun movies. I think there's two of them, Cage and Cage Two. I think there was a sequel to that. He's also in. Yeah, there was a sequel to that. I just found my notes. And in Cage, Lou Ferrigno is a Vietnam veteran, and he's got some brain damage, due to some explosion, I think. And those two movies are a lot of fun. And there again, if you if you wanted to see Lou in peak form, watch one of these because there again he's in fantastic shape. He also did. I think I've only seen this one once or twice. It's Sinbad of the Seven Seas.
Yes,
It's a
I've seen
late it's a late 1980s film, and I think it was done in Italy as well. Now that I think about it, and it it has some weak production values, as I recall, if I'm not mistaken.
my memory. Yes.
Um, he had a recurring role on King of Queens, the sitcom from the early 2000s,
I,
with uh, with Kevin James and Leah Remini.
yeah, I never watched a show from beginning to end. I've seen like bits and pieces of it going in and out of houses, but I never actually watched that show.
I, to be quite honest, I've only caught it because if I'm at my mother's house or my father's house, sometimes it'll be the rerun that's on after the news.
And that's how I caught it too. It was playing on somebody else's TV or
Mhm. But the show seems fine from what I've seen. But I think he was on it multiple times. And as I recall, he plays himself in
oh,
it.
very cool.
If I'm not mistaken about that. But I looked at his filmography, and he's been in stuff, quite recently, as well.
Yeah, I was happy to see him in I think Incredible Hulk episodes or She-Hulk or something. He was on some Hulk episode as a security guard. I think they had him.
Well, and there were some TV movies from the late '80s, that he was in. I think I've got those on DVD somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I do. I think about 15 or 20 years ago, somebody released a DVD compilation of those. If I'm
Oh,
not
very.
mistaken, there were three of them.
Yeah, I have his Sinbad, I have his Hercules, and I have some of his Marvel stuff. I have some of the Incredible Hulk movies, not the episodes. Oh,
Um, have you watched? His son is an actor too, Lou Ferrigno Jr.
yes, yes, I've heard that. I might have seen him in something, but I don't recall. What was he in?
He's been in nothing that I've ever seen, quite honestly. He's done a lot of TV, and I don't watch much. You don't watch much television, so I have not seen a whole lot of it. Um, I do know that I think his big break came with the NBC soap opera Days of Our Lives.
Ah, okay.
And that was probably a dozen years ago or so. I believe he's 40, 41 years old at this point. And he started off as a physique model. He's a really good looking guy. I mean, if anybody ever looked like an actor, it's Lou Ferrigno Jr. Very handsome. He's in great shape, but not like giant,
Oh,
like
his
his father.
father. I
But
saw this one and stuff too.
Oh, Patrick. Yeah, actually a good actor too.
He's in Gen V, which is a superhero show that Athena and I like in the boys universe.
Mhm. He was on season 3 of White Lotus too.
Oh, was he?
Hmm. And it's a wild storyline. A wild storyline, but he's fantastic in it. He plays this like I'd say mid to late 20s business type who's following in his father's footsteps. And unbeknownst to Patrick Schwarzenegger, his father's a really sleazy businessman who's made a lot of bad deals and is getting caught. He's in the process of getting caught committing fraud, and he
Oh,
knows it. So they're in Thailand at this resort, and he contemplates not going home so he doesn't have to face prosecution, and does not want to tell his family about it. And Patrick Schwarzenegger is his son.
oh wow, that's very interesting
It's
plot.
a, it. I can't remember the actor's name who portrays the dad, the sleazy businessman. Parker Posey is his mother. and she's a riot. I mean, I like her anyway. And I've never seen her turn in a bad performance, and she is just amazing in this. She's this Southern, wealthy, vapid, vacuous mother, and she plays it to the hilt. I mean, she's just amazing. And Patrick Schwarzenegger, it turns in a really good performance too. He's good.
He's great on the Generation V tour, Gen V. He was
Hmm.
fantastic in that too. He played a superhero.
And I don't want to. I'm not saying anything bad about Arnold, but I think his son is a better trained actor. And I mean, Arnold's great to watch, and he's made some of my favorite movies. I mean, the Terminator just blew me away the first time I saw it, and yeah, I saw it again not too long ago, and I still think it's a great movie. And Arnold's made some really good movies, but his son, I think's a good actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now Lou Ferrigno's son, I can't tell you, I haven't seen any of his performances, but he is a really good looking guy. So if you've got that as a media personality, usually you're golden. If you look good. But like I said, he started off in Days of Our Lives about a dozen years ago, and that's Greg's favorite soap opera, by the way. And
Oh, is it?
he still watches it on Peacock.
I didn't even
Um,
know that soap operas were still a thing, but I guess it makes sense that they would be.
there's a few around. The Young and the Restless on CBS, and I think there's a new one on CBS. The name of it escapes me because I don't watch TV. But they came out with a new one within the last year or so. Uh, the only one that NBC had left is Days of Our Lives, but now it's strictly on Peacock. It's just streaming. You can't watch it on NBC affiliates.
Diana has been interviewing soap opera stars, from years ago
Hmm.
on her show for the past few months, and it's really, really interesting.
I think Tom Lasanti has been instrumental in helping her get in contact with these soap stars as well. He's written like several books on. Well, actually, Tom's written a lot of books on a lot of different subjects. But as of late, he's been doing books on soap operas such as Ryan's Hope, and he's gotten to know a lot of the actors who were in those soaps. He
Oh,
did the
that's
same thing. He did the same thing with beach party movies about 20 years ago. He wrote several books, a couple of books about them. Um, and I hate to say it, but almost all of those people have passed away since then.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, they're between 80 and 90 years old now. You know, the teenagers on the beach were oftentimes 30 years old. So and they were six. This was 60 years ago. So I mean, it just happens.
I think your pages on Brian's Drive-In Theater would make great books.
Well, I intend on keeping my website up until I drop dead. So
So you have to get somebody once you've dropped dead to gather it all together so it doesn't disappear.
yeah, I don't have
Have
any
it.
heirs. I'm not like you. I don't have children. So I guess I need some heirs to will it to get to be an albatross around somebody else's neck, I suppose.
Well, you have lots of friends, so I'm sure one of your friends would mind doing it.
They're all old. Well, I've made some younger friends lately because, well, for one thing, if you so many of my really good friends passed away over the last 5 to 7 years, and I was becoming increasingly isolated, and I thought, well, I need to reconnect with some of my friends, older friends, and I need to make some new ones, and I have made some younger friends.
Oh, great.
Um, well, and they they're perfectly charming people. They're mostly millennial. Let's say 35 to 40, 45, something like that. And they're also movie people, so we'll watch a new movie. The only thing that really bothers me about them, and I don't know if I can say this about all millennials, but the ones that I know I can say this about, they really have no sense of history at all, especially when it comes to movies. They'll I'm not going to get too specific, but they will profess to like a particular actor. Then if it's somebody I know their work pretty well, I will say, "Well, gosh, have you seen this movie? Or have you seen this movie? She's great in this." And no, what, I thought you liked this person, yeah, and you have seen very little of her catalog. Wouldn't you go back and maybe watch some other performances? Instead of just getting locked into like one or two movies. I
Like
just
us
don't quite
older,
understand it.
us older folk do that.
Well, no, I mean, I have a particular friend that I'm thinking about, and he'll tell me how much he likes a particular actor or actress's work, and then I'll say, "Well, have you seen this or that?" "Oh, no." "Do you want to?" "No." It's like, okay.
Well,
Are you are
they
you
like the
sure you
work that
like this
they've
person?
seen. Yeah,
Huh?
they like the work that they've seen.
Yeah, I know, but they don't seem to be all that willing to dig a little deeper. Do a deep cut. See something that they did when they were young. Uh, see something that's different. See something that they did that's outside the genre that you like. Really, what I'm trying to say there. And
So,
I encourage it as much as I can without coming off sounding, too pedantic, but it never works.
we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to jump back to Superman to ask you if you've seen Peacemaker
No, I have not.
or Creature Commandos.
No.
Okay, those are the new James Gunn DC movies,
Hmm.
and they make references to the two Suicide Squad films, which are now partially canon to what he's
Yeah.
doing, and they tie in with Superman, the second season, and it opens the door to the second Superman movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's connecting everything uh, more than loosely. So he's building up his universe that way by making use of old material, not just starting everything from the beginning again.
Now, when you think of Superman, when I think of Hercules, I hate to say it, it's Steve Reeves. It just, even though that I know that there were many other actors who portrayed Hercules, he's the person who pops up into my head. When you think of Superman, who does that for you? Whose face do you see
Reg Park and Alan Steele.
for Superman or
Oh,
Hercules?
for Super Hercules. For Superman, it's really George Reeves from the television show
Okay,
because I
okay,
grew up with that,
yeah,
and I've since
it's still on.
yeah,
It's on
and
Heroes and Icons, and I see it. I bet I see two or three episodes, well, a month probably, but.
yeah, I have a lot of the Supermans. I have all the Smallvilles. I have all the George
Mm.
Reeves Superman. I have a couple of seasons of Superboy. I have the movies that were made before George Reeves became Superman. The cartoons that
Oh, with Kirk Allen.
yeah, I have a lot of Superman, and I like the character and some portrayals more than others. I liked Lois and Clark. I liked Smallville.
Mhm. See, when I think of Superman, I'm kind of like you. Sometimes it's George Reeves, but sometimes it's Christopher Reeve. Yeah, for me,
Hmm.
because when the first Christopher Reeve Superman movie came out, I think I was maybe 12 or 13 years old, and it was that summer. It was the blockbuster. For 1978, or I think that was Grease was also kind of big. And both of them were so popular that I actually got digest versions of both of them on Super 8 millimeter film.
Oh, very cool.
The digest versions were usually they were 400 footers, and I think they were about, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes long.
Hmm.
So you didn't get the whole movie, but you did get enough of a compendium of it to figure out what was going on. And I had both, and so for me it would be Christopher Reeve. probably. But you're right. Occasionally, I do think of George Reeves.
We should do a Superman special after you've seen this new Superman.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, and I'm dying to see the new one. I can't wait.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I'd enjoy it, and I want to see it again. So I had fun with it. So how can people find the drive-in theater, and how can they
Well,
communicate with you?
point your browser at Brian's Drive-In Theater. You can find it in any search engine. And if you want to interact with me on social media, I'm just on Facebook right now. And you can find me if you run a search for Brian's Drive-In Theater or look for Brian Walker.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure speaking with you. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your upcoming podcast on the
If I
next.
ever if I ever start working on it, I'll let you know.
If you want to do practice runs with the channel, just let me know. We'll set aside some time you can practice till you get.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be great. You've
I've
given.
got I've got an outline of what I want it to look like. I just have to get up off my butt and do it.
Okay, well, I've given you some incentive to do it, and you've given me so much joy over the years with the driving theater with our friendship that it's
Oh,
the least I could do. Uh, my friend, take care, and I will talk to you very soon.
okay, thank you very much, Hercules. Have a good evening.
You too, and thanks to everybody who tuned in. Until next time, joyous journeys and amazing adventures. Good night, everybody.